I'm starting to learn something as I go through all of these overwhelmingly positive games. It's kind of the same issue Rotten Tomatoes have. When there's only two choices, recommended or not recommended, all something needs to be is slightly above average for it to be considered overwhelmingly positive, because everybody will be at least slightly positive on it, and that's the big issue. That is why I like to look at these games, because just because everybody says it's worth playing does not mean it is somehow now a perfect epitome of gaming, that is the best thing you've ever seen. So I want to cut through all that BS and give you an actual insightful review to these games. I started it with Far Lone Sails. We're continuing it with The Last Campfire. So is it really as red hot as everybody wants you to think? Or is this a fire that you can let go out? Let's talk about it. If The Last Campfire does one thing well, it is its atmosphere. From moment one, the game sets the stage really well. Somber, dark, emotional. The music really complements the setting very well. You play as Ember, a character on a journey that, to me, ultimately represented life and death. As you progress, you'll come across a few areas, each with a central campfire. You will explore around those areas to find forlorn, other characters who have lost hope and do not want to go on. It's up to Ember to bring hope back to them, to encourage them forward, or to at least return them to the warmth of the fire. To do this, you solve puzzles. Now, these puzzles were usually pretty simple. I don't remember really struggling with any throughout the course of the game, but the game itself is compelling, and so are the puzzles in how they let you walk out the story. Your journey brings you across a number of unique characters, unique areas. Each of the main areas that you come to is very unique, both visually, both atmospherically. Each one brings new mechanics and dangers to overcome. The world created here is really interesting and unique, and I have to give the developers credit here. There is a lot of vagueness to the world and the story, but I actually think that helps in this particular case. I think the story is presented strongly enough that you mostly know what's going on, but it's also presented kind of openly enough that you will sort of take a unique perspective from it, because this is ultimately about a journey, and we're all on our own journeys, and so your journey will influence how you perceive this journey. I think on top of this, the point of the game is the journey, and so that plays out in the gameplay itself. Yes, these puzzles are maybe too easy. They could have been harder. But I don't think the point of this game was impossible puzzles. I think the puzzles are a tool that the developers used to convey the core message about this journey, and that it's worth continuing on these journeys. That sometimes, if you're looking for hope, you may have to see past a challenge that is facing you. Sometimes there's not always a clear solution to life's problems, but there also isn't a problem that is so impossibly large that you can't overcome it. I think it all comes together really quite effectively and tells a story without really telling a story, because it so relates to you and your own life experiences. You really do find yourself connecting with Ember on a personal level. The biggest complaint I have with this game, and this is a massive complaint, I cannot tell you how much this thing bothered me, is the narration. The entire game is narrated by a single person, and while I appreciate the effort that she gave here, she's not a bad voice actor, but it just doesn't work for me on any level. It seemed like in her delivery she was going for more a childlike kind of storytelling approach, but I thought that really conflicted with the story itself. It almost impersonalized the story and pulled me out of the experience. Now, I'm sure many people enjoy this, so I might be totally off base here, but for me, it would constantly ruin the immersion that this game was giving to me. Personally, I think it would have been better to either have no voices or like a fake language kind of thing that the characters would kind of use to communicate with one another, that were more sounds rather than verbal. To many, this might seem like a small complaint, but given that, for me at least, so much of this game was made by its overall atmosphere and experience and relationship with my character, that something that was this recurring, always taking me out of it and fighting against everything else the game was working towards, was a huge, huge negative to me. It really almost totally discolored my entire opinion of this game. Overall, The Last Campfire is definitely an experience. It starts out in seemingly simple ways, but the game really does allow you to extract a lot from it without being too explicit, and can be quite relatable as it progresses. The puzzles are simple, but like I said, I don't think that's a bad thing, necessarily. Of course, don't buy this game if you're looking for a new puzzle game. Buy it because you're looking for an interesting atmospheric experience with some puzzles thrown in that help get across the message while also kind of giving you something to do in the in-betweens. All that said, it's pretty short. You can do everything in about 4 hours, and it's one of those just sit down and get through kind of experiences. I recommend doing it in as few playthroughs as possible. Just get through it in one sitting if you can. So, is The Last Campfire really as good as everyone says? Yeah, mostly. But I want to hear from you. Have you played this game? Does it deserve all the praise it gets? Let me know in the comments down below. What overwhelmingly positive game do you want me to look at next? Maybe take it down a peg or sing its praises. Who knows? Let me know in the comments down below. If you liked the video, like the video, click that thumbs up, smash that subscribe button, punch your computer monitor so hard that it subscribes you twice. We got to get those numbers up. Rookie numbers over here.